Hold on, this is where things start getting tense. The judge is trying to keep things procedural, but the defendant seems confused about why this hearing is even happening. And in court, confusion can quickly turn into confrontation if it's not handled carefully. Watch closely. This is about to flip.
All rise. The court to take this report is back in session. The Honorable Judge J. Cedric Simpson presiding.
You may be seated.
And there it is, the shift. The judge is signaling a possible immediate judgment, which is a serious move. In legal terms, that means the court can rule right now without further delay. But notice the trigger. It's not just the case, it's the attitude. Respecting court isn't optional. It directly affects outcomes.
Let's see if we can get through this with no further drama. Huron Vista versus Sabrina Jackson.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Attorney Samantha Sprague, P81931, appearing on behalf of the plaintiff.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Andrew Campbell, on behalf of the defendant. My client is standing to my right, Your Honor.
Your name?
Sabrina Jackson.
Thank you. All right, where are we on this?
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
It's okay. Your Honor, we have come to terms with a signed conditional dismissal as well as a proposed order to release escrow. There is currently a balance of $1,672.40. The defendant does have $1,588 held in escrow, which they have stipulated to release to the plaintiff, and defendant agrees to pay the remaining $84.40 on or before 4/30 of 2026. Additionally, the parties have stipulated to set aside the judgment and enter the CD under Box 4B and Box 7.
Got it. Is that right?
That is right, Your Honor. Do you understand the agreement, Ms. Jackson?
Understand the agreement.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for the judge or for me?
None at this time.
Okay.
Okay. So do I have the paperwork or?
We just
Oh.
emailed it. I believe it was received about 2 hours before court, so it was just sent to Ann.
I just signed it at 1. I did.
What?
Yeah.
I just signed the document at 1 o'clock on the email.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I blame you for it?
Please, I can't take anymore.
I'm sorry, Judge. I left and she sent the signed one right after I left, so I don't have it with me. I apologize.
No, that's fine. We'll get a signed copy, but the terms are placed on the record. You don't have any questions, ma'am?
No.
All right, I'm going to mark this conditionally dismissed. I will sign the paperwork when it comes. All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Have a good day, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
Have a better.
I said that before. All right, thank you. Take care. Mrs. Haverkamp versus David Frame.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. David Fanter on behalf of the plaintiff.
Your name?
David Frame.
Thank you. All right, where are we on this?
I think we have a consent judgment. There's owing $1,984 in rent, court costs of $175 for a total of $2,159. Mr. Frame and I agree that he either has to pay that amount or move out by May 4th. And we both signed the judgment, and I advised him that because he was not represented by an attorney, he would have 3 business days to think about what he just agreed to and file a motion if he thought something was misrepresented to him.
All right, I had some confusion or some writing in this, sir. You understand all of that, sir? You have any questions regarding anything contained on the judgment? All right, fantastic, sir. Thank you. I'll enter the judgment.
Yikes. This is no longer just a legal discussion, it's personal authority being enforced. Let me ask you, do you think the judge is overreacting, or is this exactly how courtroom control should work? Because one wrong move here, and things could escalate into contempt.
My consent. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You'll get a copy in the mail as soon as it goes out of the civil division. And
103 South Huron versus Joshua Bertram. Sir, if you did need a copy, you can stop at the counter. They'll come down and grab it and then make you a copy if you need it before the mail comes. All right, thank you. Your name, sir?
Joshua Bertram. Good.
All right. All right, what are we doing?
Your Honor, I've had a chance to speak to Mr. Bertram a couple times on this matter. And I would respectfully request the court adjourn this matter for 2 weeks. Where we are is he owes $1,815. He makes too much money for Hawk, for SOS, but he probably qualifies for MAP. But they've closed this month because they only put out so many. So I spoke to Zachary at MAP today, and Zach gave me his work cell, which I gave to Mr. Bertram. He's going to call Monday and make an appointment for Friday, which is May 1st. And he's going to get him whatever documents. I mean, there's no guarantee that he qualifies,
Right.
but I'm hopeful. So he's going to take him the documents. I'll get him the documents that I need to get to him. And I also confirmed that their limit is $3,000 now. So even if we add in $800, it'll be $2,600. So we'll be okay.
Limit's 3, not 2.
Their limit is 3, not for today.
For today. All right.
Yeah, I had a case where it actually changed in the middle of the case.
Did it?
Like the stock exchange.
Yeah, it's just good. Okay.
The other thing I will say is, and I don't really want to broadcast all of his personal. He's been, I like Mr. Bertram. I've worked with him for many years. I've worked with him both through SOS, and I think you're with CMH, right?
Yes.
And he gets paid on Wednesday. But a couple months ago, he borrowed from a cash advance place and to pay his rent, which I can appreciate that he's trying. But it doesn't make any sense to borrow 6 to repay 9,
Right.
and he needs to repay that. My thought would be, which is why I asked all the questions to Josh, to pay that off, get rid of that. And in the future, if there's an issue, call me rather than borrowing money from them. And other thing is, and I mentioned this to him, MAP actually is a payee service.
Right.
And if you feel like you're not managing your funds well, you might want to talk to Zach. Doesn't do it, but there's somebody else at MAP that does it, where they might be able to help you.
I had explained to David here that I haven't really had a lot of financial education. So I was kind of thrown out into the world early age. So I could use some education. I was looking into classes, possibly learn how to better be more responsibly.
All right, reset moment. After that heated exchange, the judge takes a brief recess, classic move to cool things down, and now we're back. But notice how the energy has completely changed. This is where courtroom dynamics get interesting. Same judge, totally different tone.
Financial.
Okay.
And then I explained to you last time I saw you, not on the Zoom, but last time I was here in court that I'm at that printing service in Maryland, right?
Yes, sir.
But we just started opening up overtime hours.
Okay.
So I'm doing my best. I'm even applying for second jobs. I'm really trying to bust my butt to keep a roof over my head.
All right.
Which is why I'm working with him, because I've always seen him trying really hard to make this work, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it work also.
We'll work it out for you.
Right. But those cash advance places,
Yeah.
I mean,
predatory.
yeah.
All right.
I don't want to do that unless, you don't want to do that.
So I'll adjourn it out May 8th, 2026 at 12 noon. All right.
And hopefully we'll get the money from MAP and we won't even have to come back.
All right.
Can I ask you something off quick?
Sure.
If we do come across shirts for Maryland, what size do you wear?
I can't accept gifts, but I do wear a medium to large. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
You're going to have a great weekend.
All right. You too. Mary Gwinan versus Michael Vaughn. Hello. Your name?
Christine Schutz. I'm the daughter of Mary Guinan on the lease.
Yes, that is correct. And you were on, we went through this the last time.
Yeah.
All right. Michael Vaughn?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
All right. So where are we on this case? Did you pay the 1,000?
I paid $1,500 on Monday.
He did pay $1,500, so he now owes $1,403.
1,403?
Yep.
All right. And sir, when are you going to get that paid?
It's a little uncertain right now. I have May rent coming up, and I plan to pay that in full Next week, I have 2 jobs I'm going to be finishing up, and I should have an extra $1,000 after, by Friday next week. So I planned on putting 50% of that towards my back rent and then saving some to be able to pay May rent. I'm also applied for assistance through DHS, and I actually have to go upload some of the information after this.
Okay, are you there by yourself?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so the most DHS is gonna pay is about $410. I think we might have gone through that the last time. I don't know.
Yeah, that should help a lot. And I'm also seeking, I've asked my parents for loans, and they said they probably could help out.
Okay, all right. So it's 1403. That's everything that he owes right now.
Yes, and then of
Okay.
course, May 1st is 1,300.
It's 1,300.
So he'll be back to 2,703. And as I
I'll be
said,
able
this is
to pay that.
All right. Folks, I can do it one of 2 ways here. All right.
Now, this is what the court wants to see: proof of effort, payments, communication, cooperation. These are the factors that can literally save someone from eviction. Legally, even partial payments can influence whether a case gets dismissed or delayed, and right now, things are looking much better for her.
I could issue a judgment today, basically free this number, but not including May. Right? And then you would have until the 4th to get this paid. And then you got to figure out May without the court's intervention. Or I can adjourn it to my next date, which would be May 8th. And at that point, the number will go up because was it 1,300 you said?
yeah, he owes 1,300 for May rent.
Right. So that number would then be added to this figure if nothing's paid. So you'd be at the 2,700.
Right.
I will be
And
able to pay May 1st for May's rent.
Well,
I was just gonna say, we've been through this a lot. I've offered for him to break the lease. I mean, he could find a place cheaper. He's out July or June 30th anyways. And if you're in landscaping, I would think it would be easier for you to go now than later.
It wouldn't be. I went all winter with no work. I'm struggling to catch up right now.
I understand that. So those 2 options I gave, I understand what you're saying. Which one would you prefer?
So I would prefer, you said he has to pay the 1,300 and the 1,403 by the 3rd.
No, if I issue a judgment today, it's just going to be the 1,403. That would be on the judgment form. He'd have to get that paid by the 4th.
And what's the second?
The second option is I adjourn it out, but now May's rent clicks in. And he's got to get that paid. And it might extend some time for him, but only if he's paying something.
Okay, and so the next time, because it's the 4th time I'm here, so the next time we'll make a for judgment.
4th time?
I did on Zoom.
I only had 3, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking my 4 Fridays, so I'm gonna make a 5th Friday.
Yeah,
But I will do the 5th Friday because I want to make sure he pays
May.
May.
Got it. Okay.
And then there'll be a final judgment.
Well, there'll be a judgment would be my anticipation, but I'm trying to figure out sir, if I adjourn it out to the 8th,
Yes.
what are you going to pay between now and the 8th?
The May's rent, and then whatever I can towards the back rent. I'm anticipating at least 5 towards what the remainder that I owe. It depends on how these jobs go, really, because
I know,
people.
Sir, listen.
Yes, sir.
I'm asking for a number because there has to be some surety for the landlord about what they're going to receive.
Understood. So the 1,300. Sorry.
1,300.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And then I would like to pay 500 towards the back during that period too.
So here's what I'm going to write. I'll adjourn it out under this condition. And that's May 8, 2026 is that going to work for you? Or?
Yes, yes.
Well, okay, because I remember okay, the 1 p.m. will work. So,
Okay.
And I'm going to indicate that you're to pay the 1,800 to the landlord by May 5th. So I want it paid by that Tuesday.
May
And
5th.
then once I
Gotcha.
get here, if there's 1,800 paid, it may be that I don't take a judgment if he's gonna come up with that other 1,000, then that's left. But if that's not paid, then yes, you're gonna get a judgment that day. All right,
Have a great day.
you do the same.
Thank
Have a
you,
great
Aaron.
weekend. Real Properties versus Nathan Barnes.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Dana Holmes, staff of Bill Properties.
Not checked and like take default, raise your right hand. Solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I'm showing that at the time, the past due rent is $1,914. The court costs are $175 for a total of $2,089. Requesting a default judgment for possession, giving defendant until May 4th to pay or vacate.
Judgment to the plaintiff, that's by default for possession, redemption amount, any amount requested with a writ to issue in 10 days. Real Properties versus Matata Patrick.
And Dana Hall on behalf of Beal. Got these in person or? do I-
I'll take the judge. Your name?
Matatapat.
And somebody's here with you, helping you out. Who's that? Thank you. All right, what are we doing? How much is owing?
So at this time, I have that the past due rent is $1,131.32. The costs are $175. Totals $2,306.32. Your Honor, I'd like to request a adjournment for a week at this time. Ms. Burrell has been emailing the owner and trying to come up with an agreement with Section 8, maybe, to pay.
We provide a housing subsidy, my organization does, so I've been emailing with them.
What organization is it?
I'm Housing Help in Ypsilanti.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
they're responding with the homeowner regarding an agreement that I've had, I'm trying to work out with them. And trying to relocate Mr. Matata and his family. There's a grant that my organization has, however, it cannot pay the back rent that he owes until the
Got it.
family is out of that house. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so I wasn't aware that's who she was speaking with, so I need to talk to the owner and make their agreement more definitive. I guess it's a little open-ended right now.
Right. No, I get it, but okay, I can't give you May 1st. I can give you May 8th. That work?
That'll work, yeah.
That work? So I'm going to adjourn your matter to May 8th, 2026 at 12 noon. Okay? And then we'll see you then, and hopefully you guys have everything worked out. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Take care, sir. Real Properties versus Micah Fry.
I think this is actually Arbor 1. The rest of them, I believe, are all the Arbor 1 cases you wanted me to find out about.
Yeah,
It just changed management, so it still says Beal.
well, hold on. So I thought about that afterwards. So the 4 cases that I have that are real properties are really Arbor 1.
I think so, although I have one, I need to grab my phone. One that we emailed a consent judgment in on, where we had the interpreter. I don't know if that was Beal.
I don't. All right, let me just try to get all this clear. All right, there's Mr. Robbins, right? I got you. Okay, just stay right there for a second. And Mr. Fry, you live in Arbor 1?
Yes, I do, correct.
Okay, so that's Arbor 1. Mr. Robinson's Arbor. Is there Maisha Sampson, Arbor 1? And Manasha. I knew I was gonna mess it up. You knew I was gonna mess it up. You're just gonna want to correct. I got it. Miss Brown. All right. You're also Arbor 1. Okay, so we have a problem here. Because, folks, after the hearing, I was trying to figure out, because there's a larger circuit court case and federal court case, right?
Right.
And I was trying to figure out whether or not, I mean, some of these Arbor ones started with me, then they went to circuit court. Some of them got shipped over, or parts of it got shipped over to federal court. And I'm trying to figure out who can transfer what and where, whether or not the places had certificates of compliance and whether or not I had the proper party. So what I did, counsel, is I emailed Alex Henry at Legal Services regarding Clark Road and Green Road, which I think everybody here is on one of those, right?
Yes, Green Road.
You're green. Got it. Okay. And they told me, I asked whether or not, because I think it was Mr. Robinson that let me know that he was in Arbor 1. And I said, oh, well, this pleading, the case looks like it transferred ownership. And I didn't know if they could do that given the state of the apartments. Anyway, that being said. So I asked the question to Legal Services who was handling it and whether or not there were certificates of compliance. Now, they indicated to me regarding the ownership that the ownership has not changed, but then told me something I didn't know. But as of yesterday, and this was sent to me on April 16th, BO Properties was no longer managing the company, was no longer the management company for Arbor 1, and that the new property management company was Ram Partners. And then there was a notice attached, right, to that. I'm sorry? What do you mean?
Immediately.
So do you have keys? Oh, dear God.
So like 40, but out. Luckily I didn't have my daughter be outside, and it was just random men. I didn't even know if I were able to trust them or to give them the switch off key.
Okay.
Yeah, they did switch the keys to the doors to the entrance of the buildings, or the locks rather.
So did you get a key?
Not the key they gave me that I went to the office to get, it did not work. Neither did my old key.
Yours doesn't work? Your works. Okay, so the only people that can get in is Mr. Robbins. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Okay, so there's that. So there's a different management company.
Can I make a comment on this, please? Because I feel like I'm
I know you look like you got a lot to say. Come on up. Yeah, when she gets up here. State your name again for the record.
Monasia Brown.
Okay, what do you want to tell me?
Okay, so about 2 weeks ago, before the week of April 10th, Jessica Nice was a BO property manager, and she was inside. She's also on my papers for the eviction notice. But with Jessica, I signed this paper stating that due to the eviction notice at 721 West Clark Road, I am making the decision to avoid the eviction process and vacate the unit by May 29th. If anything changes regarding the date I choose to vacate, I will update the leasing office. Jessica put this on the printer. I have it in email stating that she will forgive my balance. And then these people just up and left. So I'm talking to RAM and they say, we don't know anything about this. We can't help you.
Yep.
Just pay the balance that is transferred. But I have emails stating that when they fell out of compliance, even the beginning of this year, Jessica confirmed that they fell out of compliance. And I have that in email. Also, when I moved into my unit, I did not have anything new as I was supposed to.
Hold on. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You probably have a lot to tell me about your situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have and it's not that I don't want to hear it. I've got a bigger problem. just in
general.
Yeah, because I've got to, the cases aren't named right. Okay, so let me just finish my point that so I now have RAM partners to the extent the management company has authority to bring cases in their name, which is also rather odd why these weren't brought in the name of Arbor One. But I have a feeling I know why, and I think some people didn't want me to know that they were necessarily Arbor.
Well, I think they took over, Your Honor, on April 17th.
Who?
RAM or
Well, RAM did.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming the people at RAM. I'm saying when these cases initially started coming here, why they weren't titled in the same way that every other Arbor One case comes before the court.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because ownership, to their knowledge, didn't change. These properties are still owned by Arbor One.
Right.
So first is I have the wrong plaintiff on these cases.
This is the moment that decides everything. The judge is walking a tightrope, upholding the law while giving a human chance. Technically, eviction is approved. But delayed, that delay. It's not just time, it's opportunity. One last shot to fix everything. The real question is, will they make it count?
To the extent that BO Properties had the authority to bring it in their name as opposed to Arbor One, sometimes that happens. That's fine, but now BO Properties is not involved. So I still, even to the extent they had that authority, they're no longer here. So the first thing that happens, and so you four know, I'm not doing anything on your case today because I don't have the proper plaintiff. I don't even know who the plaintiff is, really.
Wow.
Because your cases should have come to the court. If anything I've seen in the last 5 years, 6 years, they should have come in the name of Arbor One or Arbor One West. That's the way those cases have been listed, always. And then I get BO Properties, and it wasn't until somebody said something to me that all of a sudden it dawned on me last time we were here that these are Arbor One. So I don't know why, I don't know if somebody was trying to slide something past me. That's fine. You can keep trying. It ain't gonna happen.
I know that's right.
All right. So
Well, I just like to make it clear so these tenants know that was not our office or us that did that. I don't want them to think.
no, and that's fine. And I would agree with you that it was. I can see the pleadings, and that was not you guys. I think I know who it was, so I'll deal with them how I got to deal with them. So then the other part of this is they tell me that the buildings, so 721 Clark, 720 Green, 721 and 723 Green Road.
And they made me move. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Hold on a second, just real quick. I'll hear you, but that they have certificates of compliance or temporary certificates of compliance. That's what legal services represented to me. I don't know. But when somebody was issuing something to me, like disguising names, I gotta worry about everything that's going on. All right, Mr. Fry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say they moved me from 721 and 723 to 720 because Jessica said that they were condemning those. They didn't have compliance to anybody being in those units.
When was that?
I've been here maybe 2 months now. So I was in the building right next to the office, which is 721.
Of last year to a new unit because they said we had to vacate the other ones and
right.
Yeah, so that was when all the mess was, come on,
Also, the garbage,
huh?
the garbage.
All right, I hear you. What's your name, ma'am? All right. I want to ask what you did to your hand, but I don't want to know because I don't want to see that guy, whoever you hit. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna hit them at Bill. All right. So what were you trying to tell me?
They moved people. So I've been there 7 years at 721 West Clark Road. I watched them move people into my building and it wasn't in compliance.
Mm-hmm.
All of the other buildings are empty.
Boarded up.
I've been going through this.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. I have not driven out there because when the cases left me, I was kind of happy.
I'll be happy when I get all together and out of there, but right now it's a rush. I'm dealing with this.
Okay.
And they just got to get it right. Like Jessica technically called me and said, hey, you know, anyone who's haven't paid their rent, you know, tell them don't, because we're not taking nobody to court. We actually leave. And she told me the 27th, but it's the 17th. And that's because I worked in the office with them or we were friends. So I was privy to a lot of things that other people weren't.
All right.
So then I talked to them at RAM and they said, well, hey, we're not taking anybody to court either. And I'm like, which makes sense because we just got here.
They don't even.
And she said that Jessica said that they were throwing it all out.
Well, I'm trying, so there's a couple of things here. Because when I also look at, like, I don't have an updated balance on Mr. Fry. What do you have owing on Mr. Fry's case?
Showing
I need balances on Fry and Mr. Robinson.
for Fry, I'm showing $1,982. And costs $175. The total $2,157.
Okay.
So I
And
have
for
my
Mr.
ledger here and it only says 1,000.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on. Okay. I'm just trying to get what they have right
Okay,
now,
sorry.
and then I'll talk to you. So what do you have for Mr. Robbins?
Robinson. $7,138.
Okay. 7,000, go ahead. What
38 and then 175 in cost.
for a total?
7313.
Okay, so here's what I'm trying to figure out. Now, hold on. Mr. Fry, what were you going to say about your ledger? And then I'll talk about the other three.
It just says issue a credit for a court order agreement, $1,000. It says minus 1,000, but negative 1,000. But I don't. That's what Ram printed up for me the other day when I went and got my key.
Okay. I have no idea what that means.
Okay.
So here's
I
the
was just bringing
thing.
it to
When
your
I
attention.
get this out, when you got papers like that, I need you here in person so I can look at that.
Yes, sir.
Because and I get it while you're here. I get that. Okay, so so I don't know what that $1,000 means, but we're gonna have to. You do?
Just on the ledger, they gave him a credit on December 31st, 2025, and it does comment on the credit is issue a credit for court order agreement.
And that was the court ordered agreement in circuit court.
I do not know, but he went into January with his credit, and then he did balance to begin until February 1st.
Okay.
Or the other one go back to like September.
Well, and that's okay. So, Mr. Fry, I'm going to tell you this. You continue to listen, but I'm going to take these one by one in this way. I'm adjourning this case to May 8th, 2026 at 12 noon. Now, I'll make certain comments regarding all the cases in a moment. Here's going to be my other problem with Mr. Robinson, Ms. Brown, and Ms. Sampson. It might be right. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how their balance has got to that point. Because as I remember the Arbor One cases coming through, there's a period in time at which, unless they were in certain units, rent could not accumulate.
Correct.
So I don't know. When somebody gets up to 8,000, then 73, and then 64, Ms. Brown's in the best position at 6. I don't know how that happens. Now there may be a logical reason for it, right?
Oh,
On the face of it, I don't see that. And so, I'm going to be blunt about it. If somebody files a case before me, they don't put the proper name down. They're putting somebody else's name down. And then I have tenants with these large balances in places that last I knew were condemned, but then some got temporary or got certificates, some got temporary certificates. I've got to be very suspicious.
can I say something?
Can I stop you?
Yes.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I don't know everything, but I do know that they were charging me rent for 7 months before Jerry, the inspector, even told me to stop paying rent because I just go to work, go home, and don't call for nothing. So they actually owe me the same amount of money that they have on here saying that I owe. And I'm like, that is because I paid rent September, October, November, December, January, February, March, and even signed a new lease last April because they had me to sign a new lease. I'm like, wait a minute, because I was out the loop. I owned a home for 30 years. I don't know about this renting that well. So
I hear you. And what you're telling me is the same. We're really saying the same thing.
Mhm.
You just have more in-depth knowledge because you were there.
yeah, unfortunately.
But what I'm saying the same thing to you. I don't know however it was happening there. I just don't know how your balances get to this point.
Because they just want our money.
Oh, well, I know why. Okay. Are you a student?
No.
No. You see, that'd be something a student would tell me. Why is your balance this high? Because they want my money. That's everything. Everybody want my money. All right. But
What I was saying when I was at court on April 10th, that the balance is false.
hold on. That's kind of what I'm getting. All right. I'm getting at. I know you got a lot to tell me, but when these cases left me, like I said, I was like, yay. and so, but something told me they were going to be back. I just didn't know how they would come back. But you have to give me an opportunity just to catch up, kind of, because I got to figure out. I got to try to figure out where you guys have been, or anybody else that maybe become before me, and what your unit, what relation it may have to those larger cases in circuit and in federal court.
Yeah.
Okay, so understand, it's not that I don't want to hear you. I get part of it, but I got to figure out where we're even starting from.
Right.
Before I can do anything. I will tell you this, that at least at this point, what I want you to do is the money that you be paid for rent, I want you just to hold it. Hear me? But don't be spending it.
I can't. I'm not even working no more. I'm waiting on disability, SSD.
Okay. So, but what I'm trying to tell you is right now till we get some of this
straightened out.
I pay it into the court if you think you can't hold it, but I want you just to hold your money for a moment.
Yep.
Okay. Now, counsel, I don't know that you can figure this out, but
was trying to think about that as you're talking, so I had left an email voicemail with that bottom end, because I know they're handling circuit where I hadn't heard back. I don't know if I can look at Washtenaw County. I feel like I have to go out there and see the actual orders. If they had previous cases and they said they're not supposed to owe money,
Right.
I don't know how to track that down.
Right. And the problem is, I don't, and maybe you guys were, I don't know if you were in that last batch of Arbor One cases that came before me.
Oh, yeah.
Because either their cases at that juncture got dismissed,
Mm-hmm.
or they were taken and they went, not the actual case, but jurisdiction over their units went up to the circuit court before Judge County.
Yep.
And so you're right, they got to check that. And so that's one part of it that has to be checked. I've also got to have the proper party in interest as the plaintiff. So I'm going to need an amended complaint in any event. Because I don't.
Yeah, you said there's a federal piece?
Yeah, there somewhere, at least I had heard, I was not part of it and didn't talk to the federal judge involved, but when the case went up before Judge Conkey, part of that, I don't know who sent it there, might have been the owners of Arbor One, went to federal court. I don't think the federal court didn't accept jurisdiction. I think it took jurisdiction on a certain level with the Washtenaw County Circuit Court. That was my last understanding. And then what was that date? 2 weeks ago that we had Arbor One, or Tuesday? The last of the Arbor One cases that were before me were resolved with either the release of escrow or dismissal of those cases.
Right.
Definitely find the district.
Yeah, right. But then the circuit court one, I don't know. It's unclear to me who's supposed to be doing what and what they can do, because certain restrictions were put on. So let me just say this, and I don't know this to be the case. It may, because I don't know that Beal is in that circuit court case named. I think it's Arbor One and then other people. What is really going to worry me is if in the circuit court case, Arbor One was not supposed to take action against the tenants except by requesting that in the circuit court. Right? And that somebody decided to do it this way, not your firm, but that somebody decided to do it this way to get around that prohibition. That I hate throwing that out there because I sounds like I'm accusing somebody. But I'm not accusing anybody, but that's what it's looking like to me. And then let me just say that, and then all of a sudden, once that happens, the people that may be responsible for doing that all of a sudden disappear. And I somebody else. Yeah. I was born, but not yesterday. All right. So I'm gonna put everybody's case over. Would 2 weeks be enough time for you to try to figure all that out?
So
All right.
I was in contact with Judge Funke's, or he gave me the contact information for the law firm. So hopefully I can.
Or Bodman? Okay.
So he said they would be most knowledgeable about it.
That is true, but Bodman represents Arbor One. Let me just say that there was another law firm that represented Beal when the cases were before me.
Yeah. Been here was telling me that.
Yes, and I can't recall who it was. They appeared a number of times because there was this huge management agreement first time around.
I probably got it in an email.
What'd you say?
I'm sure I got it in an email because I was following close with everything with the union and just everything that was going on.
Okay, and
So.
I don't need new numbers on Brown and Sampson at this point because I don't believe the numbers that are there. So no need to give me another number. I don't believe it. Because I don't know how they would get there.
They're just going, they're all starting in October,
October of,
just so you're.
Yep, when I had my baby.
hold on a second. And
Yes, you're right.
when did those Arbor One cases that were before us start? Yeah, no. The last group that then,
I want to say 2020.
Yes.
so was there, then there would have had to been something in, there would have had to been something prior then to October 25 that would give them the authority to proceed on the cases.
Order to.
Right, but I don't know what that is.
Well, I have to go to circuit court. No, in that circuit court case, is it just Arbor One that's named, or are there in any of these individuals?
Oh. It's Arbor One and then the underlying management company, and then
Like,
yeah, if you were able to do a search and it says Arbor One or Arbor One West, you'll find the case. The other place you might be able to reach out to, I don't know how much, is the Washington County Prosecutor's Office. Why they were involved, who knows? I'm not sure that, but they would have some information. They initiated part of this suit that was at circuit court.
yeah.
If that makes any sense. So I'm adjourning all of these over to May 2026 at 12 noon. And then hopefully, folks, we will, I don't know that I'll have answers, but somehow or another, these pleadings have to be amended because I can't have them in this fashion.
I will definitely do that. You kind of investigating.
Okay.
And even in trying to apply for other places to go, this is like coming up on a record.
Yeah.
So,
Arbor One?
yeah. So.
Okay, so I know, and I'm gonna try to say this as nicely as I can. When people started intruding, when I had the 40, 50 cases that I had, whatever, people started intruding on a other level. They weren't taking into account what was going to happen to the people that those cases represented.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't understand it, because unlike me, they don't deal with it every week, right? And so what ends up happening is you guys end up having, I'll call it collateral damage, while these people are going on arguing about everything. And as you try to get yourself out of there, nobody's paying attention to the fact that you got a case in your name that looks like something happened that may not have happened.
Right.
Correct. Hence why they leave it to district court judges to handle. But I'm not, sometimes it's not my issue. I just do the best I can. All right. Any of you guys have any other questions?
I didn't hear the next court date.
May 8th,
Okay, okay,
May 8th at noon.
okay.
Okay?
Can it be Zoom, Your Honor?
Can it be Zoom? Not if you're gonna talk about papers and then can't hand it to me.
Yes, sir. I'll take off.
All right. What, you don't want to come down here and see me? What have you done?
Yeah, I come see you, man.
No,
I come see
I
you.
don't know what, you must have done something.
Come on. Come on. I thought we was buddies.
All right. If you file the paperwork, we'll consider Zoom, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Robinson, you good? All right. Yes, sir. At noon. Thank you. Thank you, folks.
Thank
Have a
you.
good weekend.
You guys do the same.
Bye-bye.
One
No. Yes.
That was our Meadows, not our.
Yes. Arbor Meadows versus Kenny Herrera Coronel. They are not checked in.
Well, Your Honor, we submitted a consent judgment. We had submitted at the last hearing, but we adjourned it because you wanted her to have time to consult with an attorney, just in case.
Right.
Just so far, I think, I don't know if that's in the file. If not,
It is.
okay, so one of the terms was that she would pay $1,000, and she did pay that on April 17th, just.
She did. Okay, so here's what I'll do. I'll enter the judgment by default
with those terms.
with the same term.
Okay.
I'll just check the box by default.
Alrighty,
Okay.
well, I guess I have a lot of work to.
All right. One, 2, 1, 6, 5. That's that. That all I have, ladies. Thank goodness.
What we just saw is the reality of courtroom justice. It's not just about rules, it's about behavior, effort, and timing. Some people walk in unprepared and walk out with judgments. Others fight for every second chance, and sometimes that second chance is all they get.
Thank you, everyone. Zahn, Gordon, do appreciate your help. And as always, an honor.